Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's Keshwani, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for SAT. We have been solving SAT grammar questions out of this book here, the official SAT study guide. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problems that we are about to solve are the ones that you will find on page number 472. Please turn to it. Page 472, and today is our lesson number 9. Let's see what we can do there. Very first problem, number 20. In the first column, all the problems that we see, those are medium questions. And then in the next column, in the right hand side column, they are hard questions. Number 20. Although the night shift is fully staffed, although the night shift is fully staffed, and it goes on and it goes on and on to say something. But before we go any further, ask yourself, is there anything wrong with this phrase itself? Although the night shift is fully staffed, is there anything wrong with this phrase? The answer is no, it's fine. There is nothing wrong with it as far as the grammar is concerned. Which tells us what? Which tells us that we do not know what the right answer is, but it's not A. A is fine. A is perfectly fine. It goes on to say, although the night shift is fully staffed, the managers always holds us responsible for something. And that's all we need to read here. That's all we need to read here. Do you see something wrong with it here? What is the subject of the sentence? That's the very first thing we look for. There are 7 things that the test in the exam, vast majority of the time, over 90% of the grammar questions that you're going to come across, are not going to go any farther than this. This is it. These are the 7 concepts that you have to look out for. And they are written in this order for a reason. Look for these things in this order. Don't go all over the place. The very first thing we look for is the subject and verb agreement. What is the subject of the sentence here? The subject of the sentence is managers. How many? One manager, or managers? Managers, and then it goes on to say, no need to pay attention to any word, no need to pay attention to the word always. It goes on to say that managers holds us responsible. Managers holds us responsible. No, it's plural. If the subject is plural, it has to be hold. Managers hold a meeting. It wouldn't make sense to go around saying managers holds meeting. Managers hold meeting. Managers hold us responsible. That's what's wrong with it. It says holds, it should be hold without the H. And that's answer choice B. That's it. Once you find something wrong with the sentence as you're reading it, there is really no point in reading the rest of it. There is no point in it. It's just a waste of time. That's it. That's what's wrong with it. Answer is B. It's completely irrelevant as to what it goes on to say. You understand? Number 21. Members of the company have, once again, shown how something. How, if you like, how to do something. Where is our sentence? Members, as members, have shown how to do something. What's wrong with this sentence? There is nothing wrong with this sentence. As far as the grammar is concerned, this sentence is just fine. Which tells us that we do not know. The word have is underlined here. We do not know what the answer is, but it's not A. Because so far there is nothing wrong with the sentence. Let's read the rest. Members have shown how the combination of strength and being agile. Something. Now, do you find anything wrong with it? I'm going to change my marker. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to be out of the frame just for one minute. I keep forgetting to do this thing. I'm still here. There. Do you find anything wrong with it? What is wrong with it is that it says members have shown how combination of what? Combination of the strength, as you can see here, is noun. Being agile is not noun. We need a noun here. This sentence, with the way it's written, what's wrong with it has to do with point number 6. It's called parallel constructions. It has to do with noun. If it uses the noun to start out with, it has to continue that way. Combination of strength and what's the noun of being agile? The noun of being agile is agility. Agility. And that's what's wrong with it. The answer is C. Now I'm going to read the whole sentence. It says, members have shown how the combination of strength and agility can produce beautiful movements. One more time. Members have shown, or some people have shown, it doesn't matter. People have shown how combination of strength and agility can produce beautiful movements. Apparently they must be talking about dance or whatever it is. Yes, it's about dance. But there you go. Answer is C. Let's go on to the next one. You have to be strong and you have to be agile. Do you understand? One has to be strong, and one has to be agile, or one has to have strength and agility. Either way is fine, but it has to have a parallel in it. It has to the first part has to agree with the second part. Let's do one more, shall we? Before we do number 22, let's do one more example. Here's another one. I was impressed by his strength, punctuality, and being honest. Do you find anything wrong with this sentence? What was I impressed by? I was impressed by 3 things, and they have to be things, 3 qualities, 3 nouns. I was impressed by the fact that he has strength. He has strength. You see? He has strength. That is a noun. We will not say he has, we cannot say he has strong. I'm making too much fuss, I think. He has strength. He has strength. He has punctuality. It will not make any sense to say he has punctual. He has punctuality. Noun. And he has, not being honest, he has honesty. Not being honest, but honesty. This is a noun. This is a noun. This is a noun. They all have to be noun. This is called parallel constructions. Anyway, enough of that. Let's go to the next one. What number was it? Number 22. You would not go around saying he has clever, he has cleverness, he has strength, he has honesty. It wouldn't make any sense to go around saying he has smart. I know people say sometimes he has smarts, but that's improper grammar. He has smartness. He has intelligent. No, he does not have intelligent. He has intelligence. Noun. Number 22. Anne's novel features what does it feature? Features. And so far there is nothing wrong with it. If you read this phrase here, this is not a sentence obviously. If you read this phrase, Anne's novel, or we can make it a sentence. We can make it a sentence very easily. Anne's novel features something. There you go, there is your sentence. Anne's novel features something. There is a sentence. Is there anything wrong with this sentence? The answer is no. There is nothing wrong with this particular sentence. That tells us we do not know what the answer is, but the answer is not A. Answer is not A. It's got to be something else. What does this feature? It features a character whose obsession with saving time and money are absurd. I do not know why I had the urge to capitalize the word absurd. That was absurd. Let's look at it. Do you recognize the subject of this sentence? That's the first thing we look for. Subject has to agree with the verb. The subject of the sentence is this part. I'm going to erase everything else. Watch what happens. I'm going to erase everything else. I'm just going to leave the subject. See what happens. First I'm going to cross it out so that we can still there. This is not the subject of the sentence. This is not the subject of the sentence. The subject of the sentence is this, obsession. His obsession is the subject of the sentence. His obsession with what? His obsession with what is irrelevant. The subject of the sentence is his obsession. His obsession with whatever it is, we're not interested in it. That is your subject, obsession. And now the sentence reads, let's erase everything else here. And now the sentence reads, his obsession are absurd. This is singular. The verb has to be in a singular form as well. The subject of the sentence does not agree with the form of the verb. The very first thing we look for, his obsession is weird. His obsession is absurd. Now, his obsession may consist of several different things, but this is irrelevant. My obsession with saving money, being on time, eating good food, and meeting nice people, reading beautiful books, and traveling all over the world are too much. No, it's not are too much. His obsession is one of, all of that is my obsession. Do you understand? Because they did not say his obsessions. They said his obsession. His obsession is absurd. Let's go on to the next one. So the answer there was D. Number 23. At the conclusion of the novel, a young man recently arrived to New York and moodily watches something. There is a sentence. Our sentence reads something like this. As I said before, as I've told you many times before, if you watch the first 8 days, the whole purpose of doing these grammar questions is training yourself how to concentrate on the juicy bits and training yourself how to ignore the boring bits, the irrelevant bits. The sentence that you see on the blackboard is not the sentence that you see in front of you in the book, because I have taken out all the boring bits. So this is how the sentence reads to us. To us, the sentence reads, a young man recently arrived to New York and moodily watches something. Well, he watches. He moodily watches something. And here it says arrived. One is in present tense, one is in past tense. We need to change this thing. If you read this thing, if you read the entire sentence, you will see that changing this part into past, changing the first part into present tense makes more sense than try to convert this thing into past tense. The arrive needs to change to arrives. At the conclusion of his novel, is a conclusion, that's right. At the conclusion of The Great Gatsby, this Miss Westerner arrives in New York, arrives in New York, and watches moodily at the blinking red light, or blinking yellow light, whatever the hell it is. Do you understand? Let's go to the next one. Number 24. if you train yourself how to concentrate on the juicy bits, these questions are very straightforward, very simple. As I told you before, this thing also, the whole purpose of these sentences that they give you is to fill up as much space as possible. They're not going to give you a very short sentence, because then the mistake becomes too obvious, it becomes too glaring, it becomes too noticeable. So to hide the mistakes, the grammatical mistake that the sentence contains, to hide it, they fill up the space. They make the sentence as long as possible. And by the time people arrive at the verb, they forget what the subject of the sentence was. It's the oldest trick that they pull, and it always works. Even though it's a very simple trick, apparently it works. A lot of people do not look for the subject-verb agreement. Despite the efforts of let me start again. You understand? It calms me down, the Indian tea. There we go. Despite the efforts of the publicity committee, hardly anyone attended the workshop that had been planned so painstakingly. How does one fix this sentence? Let's look at it. Despite their effort, you see how I'm reading it? Despite their effort, hardly anyone came. Now, if this were the sentence, if this were, you see, why were? Even though I said this, because I'm speaking hypothetically. When one speaks hypothetically, one of the idiosyncrasies of the English language is that when one speaks hypothetically, the verb has to be in the plural form, even if the subject of the sentence is singular. If I were rich, I would be driving a 2-hump camel instead of 1-hump camel. You see, if I were rich, and I wouldn't be driving it, I would be riding it. So here's the sentence. Despite their effort, hardly anyone came. Now, if that were the sentence, how would you fix it? Again, the answer is one wouldn't fix it. There is nothing wrong with this sentence. Despite their effort, hardly anyone came. Which tells us that A is not the answer. There is nothing wrong with the sentence, we agreed. And B is not the answer. I don't know what the answer is, but it's not A or B. Let's keep on reading. Hardly anybody came to the workshop. Hardly anybody came to the workshop that had been planned. So I don't have to spell it correctly, you understand? So painstakingly. Now, if the sentence ended right here, instead of ending it here, if the sentence ended here, don't look at the bottom part here, if it ended here, now it reads, despite their effort, hardly anyone came to the workshop that had been planned. Forget about this part here. If the sentence ended here, what's wrong with this sentence? The answer is there is nothing wrong with it. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it, which tells us that the answer, we do not know what the answer is, but it's not A, B or C. The answer has got to be either D or E. Either something is wrong with the last part, which is D, or if we come to conclusion there is nothing wrong with D, then there is nothing wrong with the sentence. Because so far the sentence is fine. So far the sentence reads, despite their effort, hardly anybody came to the workshop that had been planned. How can you go wrong? It's a simple sentence. Despite their effort, hardly anybody came to the workshop that had been planned, that had been noticed, that had been advertised, that had been announced. There is nothing wrong with it. How was it announced? They go on to say that it was planned so painstakingly. So big deal. There is nothing wrong with the sentence. The part that they put in E is also fine. Part that they put in D is also fine, therefore the answer is E. There is nothing wrong with the sentence. It is fine. How does one fix the sentence? The answer to which is, one does not. It is a beautifully composed sentence. I shall see you tomorrow, okay? Bye now.